right, let's see. We're getting down to the bottom of the meat pile here. Today is December 10th. It's Tuesday. I think Publix starts their sales tomorrow. I sure hope they start their rib roast special that they ran last year at $6.99 a pound. I'm hoping for it. We'll see. Because as you can see here, I'm down to the very bottom. If I back out of this freezer, you can really see how deep it is in there. There's not much left, just a lot of hamburger meat. Got some flank steak left here. Got some skirt steak. Got some eyes and rounds, some extra fat. A few London broils and some roasts. Bunch of fat over there. But for the most part, just burger. Steaks, for the most, well, the exception of strip steaks and flank steaks. Which to me, strip steak and flank steak just aren't, I mean, this isn't a ribeye. They can make some great stuff though. I mean, flank steak is great for making fajitas back in the days when I used to eat fajitas. You know, there's a lot of carnivores who can make their own version of a fajita. I just don't add a lot of stuff to mine because of my gut problems. Skirt steak can be wonderful too, but there's just something about digging into a ribeye. Boy, I sure am looking forward to that Christmas special. I'm telling you guys, you have got to learn when the specials are if you want to survive on this way of eating with the inflation and food prices and everything the way it is right now. But it can be done. Sometimes you got to eat a lot of burger. But if you plan it right, you can eat some of the best meat. Well, I'm going to be back tomorrow. Well, in a few seconds in the video for you, but I'll be back tomorrow to let you know what's happening with the special. So actually that was Tuesday. I thought the sale started Wednesday. It starts Thursday. So I'm still eating a hamburger for another day, but I sure am hoping for those ribeyes to be on sale tomorrow. That's one nice thing about buying a whole cow, is that you got plenty of food to carry you through the tough times. It's a lot of hamburger meat, but when it's good hamburger meat, I love it. But still, tomorrow can't get here fast enough. All right, today's the day I've been waiting for. Publix has their Christmas special on strip loin roasts this year. This is kind of new. I mentioned this in a video earlier, so this will be fun. I'm actually looking forward to it because I really enjoy strip loin, and if we can get these cut into strip steaks, I'm gonna be a happy camper. So let's see how it goes. Maybe slightly smaller than that. A little bit more? There you go, that's perfect. Love it. I want mine to be thick. Because Katie and I a lot of times eat one steak together, and if I'm doing one meal a day, I can use one for the whole thing if it comes out to 2 pounds. All right, I just got back from Publix. I got myself a whole rib roast cut into what I told them were basically 3-finger size New York strip steaks. These are, oh man, these come out so awesome. When I cook them on sous vide mode in the Dreo Chef Maker, oh God, I had one the other day. It's the first time I'd had a steak in a while because I've been eating so much burger waiting for these Christmas specials to come. I went and bought a New York strip steak like this at full price because I was just dying to have one. And man, it was so good. I am looking forward to having one of these today. Let me go ahead and break one out of here. Yeah, look at that. Let's see what that weighs. 1.74 pounds. Man, that is just perfect. That is perfect amount of meat for a 1 meal a day, and maybe a carnivore bar or a carnivore snack of some kind, whether it's carnivore crisps or maybe I make some dry chips of my own type of carnivore chips of some kind. That is a 1 meal a day. Now, one of the things that I've been doing a lot lately is I've been encouraging Katie more down the carnivore path, and we're gonna get back into what Katie's doing in a future video. But a lot of times when I make a steak like this, we'll both eat together, and then later on I'll make one and I'll either eat by myself or she'll come back and eat some. But I love this size of a steak. It's perfect for one person's 1 meal a day, or 2 of us can share one, and then if we're doing 2 meals a day, it comes out great. And then I still use the wrapping plastic version. This is something that I picked up back when my deer hunting days, because the way they would package them at the deer processors I went to,
they use this type of paper, and I kept them in the freezer for years and they were great. I find it's very fast and it's one less machine I gotta have in my house. Now, would I like to have a vacuum sealer? Sure. I just haven't found one that does exactly what I want with the right type of bags and pricing, and just not there yet. So I'm still on the paper wrapping, but I know a lot of people think it's crazy to wrap steaks this way. But I just fold it over once, fold down the corners, fold it again on the other end, fold down the corner, and then I got freezer tape. Usually I'll cut a bunch of pieces off before I start doing this. I used to just cut and wrap while I was talking to you guys, but the wrapping paper makes so much noise, it's kind of hard to do that so I can show you. But I figured I can show you at least one, and that should be more than enough. And I try to be more conservative with the tape than this, but just showing you one time how quickly and easy it can be done. And then it's wrapped up, the tape's holding it down on both sides there. I usually like to put it where it seals that side, so I missed it. I'm gonna put a little piece of tape there. Key is to try to keep as much air out as you can, and I have found that they will stay fresh for a ridiculously long amount of time in the freezer. I don't know how long, but I've gone 4 years with meat packed this way, and it comes out delicious. So it's exciting to see that Publix is doing this $7.99 deal on these again. I need to go ahead and get one ready for me to cook so we can look at that while I talk about the specials I found out that are still coming for Publix customers. I know not everybody can be a Publix customer, but this is where it really pays to get to know your meat market guy, the guy at the meat market at your grocery store. Because they told me that this sale for the rib roasts was going to start this week, last week, but they didn't know for sure. They just knew they had something basically big coming, and since every year that's what it is, they told me about the rib roasts. Well, I'm excited to get the New York strip steaks because I love New York strip. Now, in the ad, it says New York strip roast. If you want to cook a New York strip roast, that's fine. I prefer cooking them like a steak. I did cook a rib roast once and it was fantastic, but I still prefer cooking a steak myself. So it's going to be your own personal preference. I got my steak here. What I'm going to do is get it salted up, and then I'm going to set it on this tray in the refrigerator for a few hours. And then when I'm ready to cook it, I'm going to throw it in my air fryer, set it on sous vide, and I'll be ready for my one meal today. Now, what I'm using here is Redmond smoked salt. It's about the same size as the Redmond kosher salt, the standard kosher salt, so it's a little chunkier. And what I found a lot of times when I put that on a steak is that it can give me some crunchy parts to it with the salt, where I would rather have it kind of cook all the way into the meat. And that's why I grind it now when I add it to a lot of things. But sometimes I've found that, I can still use just straight out of the bottle and do fine. I've just really kind of grown to like the way this comes out. I do about 23 turns on each side of a meat piece size. I'll do half as many on the edges. Close to half as many, that was 12. And then it's ready to go. So I'm gonna stick this in the fridge. I'm not 100% on the reasoning why I like to leave them in there. Actually, it's better if you do it for 24 hours. I find the steak tastes delicious whether I do it right after I salt it, or if I let it sit for a couple of hours, or I do it the next day. It's not a big a deal enough to me to usually matter, but since I'm not ready to eat right now, I don't mind doing it that way. But this is something that I learned from Dr. Anthony Chafee. He talks about how he keeps the meat in the fridge like that, sitting for 24 hours and sometimes even more, especially if it's a dry-aged meat, something that's gonna be able to sit out longer like that. But it's gonna come out good. Meanwhile, I do wanna tell you one more thing about the special going on with Publix. I found out that earlier I put out a video telling you about the strip loin special that they had going on, and I thought that was gonna be the Christmas special, and sort of it is, but it's the early one. There's gonna be a new one starting next week. I think this special runs from the 12th to the 18th, and then this is what they told me at the meat market now, this isn't 100%, I didn't get it etched in stone, but he said they're doing rib roasts next week. He believes they're going to be $7.99 a pound also, which would mean that I would probably want to spend more on the rib roast than the New York strips in most cases. But look at the fat on these New York strips. I mean, I don't get them to cut the fat. See, I have them take the whole strip loin and cut it into steaks. I don't get one of the ones off the counter and then cut it myself because those have usually been trimmed already. I want all the fat, so I get them to trim it exactly the way I want it. But that means you're going to be able to get ribeyes soon for $7.99 a pound, hopefully, at least at a much better price than they have been. If you've been waiting for this is the time to stock up. I don't know about your area if you don't have a Publix, but I guarantee you there is a grocery store near you that is running specials for Christmas, and they want to compete with companies like Publix, so they're probably going to have some good specials as well. I love Publix meat. I have found it to be better tasting than meat that I get from some of the other stores out there like Winn-Dixie, so I stick with Publix. Meanwhile, I got to get busy wrapping these steaks.
Hey, it's Dante Ferrigno. I just wanted to thank you first of all for watching this video, but I also wanted to tell you about my merch shop. I have a link in the description for a bunch of different items I've put together for you to be able to show your support for the carnivore lifestyle, and every purchase helps me to keep doing what I'm doing here on Ferrigno Freedom.
Had this little piece left over. It almost looks like a ribeye, but it's just the very end cap of the strip steak because I bought the whole strip loin. Meanwhile, I'll just salt it up and add it to the other one I'm going to cook later. And I'll throw that on top of that tray that I got in the fridge already. So I got 6, 7, 8, 9 steaks that are anywhere from 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a piece for $122. And boy, wait till you see how these things cook up when I use this Dreo Chef Maker. Also, these thick steaks go great on the Schwenk grill. It's too cold to go outside to deal with that for me today. I'm gonna use the air fryer, but boy, they come out great on that Schwenk grill too. But 3 fingers thick, perfect. You'll see, just wait. All right, so I've already taken the steak out of the refrigerator now. I'm gonna go ahead and insert the probe that goes, I'm not gonna put it through the fat side. I wanna put it through the meat side. The thickest part of the meat as you can. This is where you gotta be careful, is make sure you put this in where it's not crimping that cable. Sometimes I do that, and that's caused me to have to replace a couple of those probes over the year. 2 years now I've been using this thing. This is great. I gotta add some water. They say for sous vide mode, the water, what it does is it sprays on top of the steak while it's cooking at certain times to keep it moist. It's amazing to me when I'm done cooking a steak in here, how little of all the juices wind up in the bottom when I use sous vide mode. It's like everything stays in the steak. You'll see. Let me go ahead and set it for sous vide mode. I got chef mode here, beef. Scroll down to, where is New York strip? And I'm gonna set it for medium rare, sous vide flavor. And that's gonna take about an hour, hour and 20 minutes. That's a long time to cook a steak. But when you see the result, you'll see why. One, I'm not in a hurry to eat. I've got things to do for the next hour, so this works out great. When I'm in a hurry though, I'll take a steak like this and throw it in here at 450 degrees, cook it for 15, 18 minutes roughly. It depends on how long it takes to get it done. The only problem with that is you tend to overcook the outside a little bit, but you get the inside really good too. As far as it's still medium rare, it comes out good. It's just, this way it comes out so much juicier, so much softer, and that's why I love that Dreo Chef Maker. I've had a lot of air fryers that I like. And I like the Typher Dome that I've been working with back here, especially when I'm cooking more than one piece of meat at a time. This one could hold 2 of those New York strip steaks easily, but if I was cooking a couple of big ribeyes, this is a bit tight for that. Whereas the Typher Dome over here, I love it for having a couple of steaks or even 3 or 4, because the cooking space on this is huge. So I like the Typher Dome for that. I still have what brand was that thing? Power XL. I had a Power XL air fryer that I still keep in my laundry room just as a backup. Even though I've got a backup chef maker and I've got the backup Typher. Man, air fryers have been the key to making this easy, long lasting, just fun to do. So I just wanted to share that little bit with you guys about the air fryers, because I have people asking me about them all the time. These are the ones that I use. The one that I use the most often is still the Dreo Chef Maker though, because I'm usually cooking for myself, or I'm cooking one steak for Katie and I to split. So, but when I do get a chance to cook for the family, Typher Dome comes in handy, or 2 Dreo Chef Makers, which cost about the same as the Typher Dome. So it's little of one, half a dozen of the other. The only thing about the Typher Dome though is it doesn't have any way to check the temperature. It's just, it cooks fast, it cooks a lot, but it doesn't measure the temperature. Now you can use something like a temperature probe, like a wireless temperature probe, like the Meter Plus here, and work together with the Typher Dome. But the one thing that's not going to do, it's not going to stop it's not going to stop the steak cooking when it's actually to the temperature you want. It's just going to let you know when it's at the temperature you want. So you got to be there to come get it out. The Chef Maker will stop cooking when the temperature reaches where it's supposed to be, and also send you an alert on your watch or your phone or whatever else so that you know that it's time to go pull it out. But you can leave it sitting in there for a little while too, because resting doesn't hurt a steak. Now, if it rests too long inside of the air fryer, it's gonna cook too much. So I always encourage everybody to get it out as soon as possible. But that is the nice thing here, is that you don't have to worry. If you're not there to get it out, it's gonna stop. And you know, the reason why I'm kind of going down a few rabbit trails here is this is one of the few videos I've done where I'm just talking about what I'm doing on the carnivore diet. And I know you guys miss me doing that more and more. I'm just so doggone busy lately with my new work. And it's been tough to be able to have time to record while I'm eating. Usually I'm just in such a hurry. I'm doing that 15-minute cook thing because I'm in such a hurry. But a lot of times the sous vide, if I'm gonna use a good steak, I'm gonna take the time. If I'm doing hamburger, throw it in there, 13 minutes, 14 minutes, depends on how much it is. It's like a pound of meat that I do at a time. That's been my meals lately anyway, so. But I'm like hurrying up to cook them, hurrying up to eat them and getting back to work. I don't have time to set up camera and do all the stuff that I'd like to talk to you about. So that's why I wanted to kind of cover a few things while I was here. I hope I haven't made the video too long for you, but stick around and let's see how this steak came out. So here I wanted to show you real quick, after I started this steak, my mother-in-law came over and she had one of her 1-inch thick steaks that she wanted me to cook for her in the Dreo Chef Maker. So I went ahead and set hers at sous vide mode too. After I started this one's still going. Hers is done, but it's a much thinner steak because it times the process. By that I mean it stops it when it's time to take it out. She won't mind if I cut her steak in half, I'm sure. Now she likes hers to be done medium, a little pink in the middle. And that's exactly how this one came out. And look how crispy it is on the outside. I mean, this is just beautiful. So even for a 1-inch thick steak, this thing does pretty good. Now, when you get under 1 inch, it's a little harder to be accurate with the cooking because the temperature probe is easy to poke in the wrong direction, and you might have the temperature probe touching like the outside edge of the meat because you stuck it in like this or like this, and it's gonna cause the temperature to be off. So you gotta be careful to get it straight in, and you, like I say, you at least want 1-inch thick steaks to really get a good cook with the probe like that. Anyway, I gotta run this over to her. She lives on the property with us. I'll be back to show you how mine came out. All right, this just went off. And one of the things I love about sous vide mode, no rest time. It does the rest time while it's cooking. So that's one of the reasons I like to come get it out right away, because I don't want to let it rest inside the heat. It's still cooking even when you take it out. So you want to let it rest. but not in the heat. Go ahead and grab a pair of tongs. I'll do it right this time. Let's see here. I always use wood tongs when I'm doing anything that has, what do you call it? Non-stick coating. I couldn't think of it for a second. I've been using this air fryer for almost 2 years. Not a single chip on any of the non-stick coating. And that's the big thing you got to worry about with non-stick coating, I think, is that if it chips, it's going to get in your food. And if it gets in your food, it's going to get into you. So I am always careful with that, but that's one of the things I like about Dreo. There's only a handful of manufacturers that use the top rated coating, and Ninja's one of them. This one, and I think it was Panasonic was another one that uses the best quality Teflon coating. When I used to use the Power XL, I found that the coating on that was very easy to come off if you washed it abrasively at all, even mildly abrasively. I've never had to wash these abrasively. I can practically spray them clean most of the time, but if they do get a little gummy, just throw them in the dishwasher. So let's see how this thing came out. Let's get a knife that's worthy of this stick. First of all, you can see, look at that. I mean, it comes out. The fat is all crispy and brown, but it's not blackened or burned anywhere. Oh, so good. Wait till you see the inside. Look at that. It's a beautiful medium rare. I mean, this machine just makes it so easy. But you know, when you're spending good money on meat like this, and you want to be able to have it cooked right every time, the Dreo Chef Maker has been wonderful for that. I love it. And I'm gonna love me some steak now. When you've been eating burger as much as I have on a carnivore diet, boy, you really forget how spoiled you can get eating a delicious steak once or twice a day like I got used to for the longest time. But, you know, sometimes things get a little tight and burger's all you got. But thank God for these Christmas specials. Anyway, that's all I got for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this useful. I am going to be going back to Publix several more times over the next couple of weeks picking up these because I can't do all that packing in one day. So I do it over a period of days. Good thing about this order, the New York strip steak, or the strip loin roast, is not limited to one per customer. So that's great if you live near Publix. At least it wasn't when I was there, but I've seen them change that after the fact. So get them while they're hot. See you guys next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?